Welcome to Court of the Boy King, a Vampire the Masquerade live play podcast set in the Dum-Dums by Night universe. I am your host and fellow traveler into the world of undeath, Dr. Vladimir Acula. This series is produced by Logan Peters in partnership with Dum-Dums and Dice. It features our resident storyteller Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Elizabeth, and Logan Peters himself. This first episode is known as Session Zero, where our coterie build their characters and define their relationships before their story truly begins. If you wish to hear their creative process, listen on, or if you want to dive into their vampire adventures, skip ahead to episode 1.01, Diamonds in the Rough. All hail the Boy King, if you dare.
Welcome, children of the night. I'm kidding, though. I can't possibly maintain that for an entire show, but wouldn't it be? Welcome, everybody, to Dum-Dums by Night. If you've heard our sister show or our parent show, depending how you want to think about it, our maker, perhaps, Blood and Syrup, you'll be familiar with our particular brand of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. If you haven't, absolutely no worries. This is an absolute standalone show with brand new characters sharing the same world. So similar to various chronicles you may have played in your time or various source books from Vampire the Masquerade that take place in different cities and tell different stories. Our stories can be happening at the same time, but it's completely its own thing. So welcome to Dum-Dums by Night, Court of the Boy King. My name is Tom McGee. I will be the storyteller of this particular chronicle, and I'm joined by 4 fantastic players. We'll be getting to them and introducing them in a second. But if you're brand new to Vampire the Masquerade, welcome to the world of darkness. It is similar to our own, but just a little bit worse. You know, like a soda you can get outside a Walmart. It's close to the soda you wanted, but just off enough. So the world of darkness is a system that's been around for a long time. Originally created by White Wolf, most recently published by a few publishers. It's been sort of changing hands of late. But kind of reaching its height sort of in the late 90s, early 2000s, very cyberpunk and kind of Matrix influenced, while also being heavily, heavily baked in the lore and kind of feel of the Vampire Chronicles, Interview with the Vampire, that kind of high court vampire situation in the modern world. So Vampire is a game of slow degradation. Our intrepid players here have each picked characters who have recently lost their humanity and have only been recently embraced into the world of the kindred, and will slowly be losing their semblances of humanity, or quickly, depending on their roles, as they descend into monsterhood. Vampire the Masquerade is a D10-based system, so that's a 10-sided dice. The main mechanic being creating a pool based on your attributes, which are things like physical attributes, strength, dexterity, stamina, social attributes like charisma, manipulation, and composure, and mental attributes like intelligence, wits, and resolve. They'll be mixing those with their skills, things that they were skilled in life and that they've continued to pursue in their unlife, to figure out how many dice they get to roll. Anything over a 5, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, great, you succeeded. Anything below that, balls, you failed. But there's one more thing that we must never forget in our world of darkness, and that is the beast, the hunger in our blood that will always drive us to further and further depravity, destruction, and corruption. It sounds like howling and grumbling dogs in the background. Sometimes.
The sound of the beast.
Yes, that's the sound of the beast, probably because there's someone dropping off Amazon packages in the hallway, which is what the beast loathes the most, aside from life.
Amazon owned by Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, truly, there will be no greater villain in our campaign than
I think we missed an opportunity to call the parent show the sire of this show.
Oh, there we go. That's where it is. All right. Yes. Thank you. 5 points to
Blood
Gryffindor.
and syrup.
Oh, blood and
syrup. Oh.
This is great. Anybody who doesn't like dad jokes knows not even to keep going. I'm letting them get out the door.
I mean,
early.
I did start with my worst, fake vampire voice. So yeah, hopefully you know what you're in for. But not counting because I suck at math. So people create their pools and then they have to roll a hunger dice. The hungrier they get, the greater the odds that their rolls can end in either bestial failure or a messy critical, or as we have dubbed them, a messy successy. These roles force your character to do either fall victim to their own darkest desires, the curses of their bloodline, or to succeed just a little too well in fun and dramatic ways. So it's again a game about large consequences and big choices, and those large consequences will befall, and those large choices will be made by these 4 fine human players. Wink. Maybe we're vampires. I don't know. You'll find out. We're recording at night. So session zeros exist for us to help figure out our coterie. Now, a coterie is a group of vampires who work together to have each other's backs and to achieve certain goals. In the world of Vampire the Masquerade, there are a number of vampiric organizations that kind of hold sway over the vampiric population. And they each have their own set of rules and their own set of demands on newly made kindred, which is this world's term for vampires. So our 4 characters will be brand new vampires who are recently embraced and have suddenly awoken in a dangerous situation. But before we can do that, we need to know a little bit more about who they are, what their skills are, what their names are, all that sort of fun stuff. So the purpose of session 0 is for the 5 of us to figure out exactly who these people are, how they know each other, how they feel about each other, and some important details about their past and some of their abilities. Now, when you start the show on episode 1, it will be the first time these characters meet. They won't know a lot of the information we're going to talk about right now. So if you just want to dive right in and then come back after you've got a taste of what the story is, I urge you to stop now and go listen to that one. If, however, you have either listened to episode 1 already, or you're just curious to kind of see how a game of Vampire is set up, this is the place to be. So full spoilers for who these characters are, probably 2 episodes from now. So leave if you want. If you're still here, awesome. Welcome. Here are next week's winning lottery numbers. Those other assholes won't get them, but you will. Also, here are our characters. So let's go around. We're going to start with each of you. And the first thing I want to know is your core concept. So if you could just introduce yourself, the name of the character, and just give me like a quick, Laura, you're losing your mind over there. It's nothing intense.
I looked on my sheet at the field called concept, and I just put a question mark next to it. So I was like, oh no.
Laura's playing the Riddler, which is going to be real confusing because Ryan is playing a character called the Riddler in the other show. So like there can be only
yes,
one.
I had a moment of panic.
Totally fair.
Okay, Laura, don't go first. Then she'll be
just
fine.
Simple details. What your character's name is, kind of a general sense of like who they were, what they did in life, what was kind of their deal. We can also talk about how they were embraced, but we can also leave that detail for later. That's totally fine. For now, I just need a general sense of like, hey, I'm Tom and I'll be playing this kind of person. They're this is kind of their deal. So Tyler, why don't we start with you?
Sure. My character's name is Enzo Rodatore. His concept is Tinkering Rat. He is a Nosferatu. And in life, he was the son of a watchmaker and clockmaker. And he went into the family business. And I haven't yet ironed out the details of how he came to be in the Nosferatu clan and how he came to be embraced.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the tinkering part of my concept comes from. Rat comes from the part that he lives in the sewers as a Nosferatu. You can't really hang out at like the beach or go to parties and stuff. And so he lives in the sewers, and he has a certain affinity for tinkering and crafting, but also for animal, not necessarily friendship, but dominance over animals. Specifically, the kinds of critters you find in the not so nice parts of the city.
Okay. Awesome.
One extra little thing under my notes is that he has a rat companion named Sergio.
Oh, amazing. That is awesome. So for those
I
of
was
you,
going to say, Tyler, how do you spell Rodatore?
Roditore.
nailed it. For those of you listening,
I didn't
and
have
watching,
my pen out.
who aren't necessarily familiar with the clans in Vampire the Masquerade, the Nosferatu, as you might guess from their name, are the most like spooky looking vampire motherfuckers of the vampire universe, in that part of the curse of their blood is, unlike everyone else who can kind of just pass as a normal human if they really try their hardest, Nosferatu are like the character of the film, clearly fucking vampires. Like they all have vaguely monstrous features. Some of them have like animalistic features. Some are just like drastically like Resident Evil style proportion. Strangely, like they have like a Trogdor style like massive punching arm. Or like they have rat teeth and their eyes are red. Like there's all sorts of weird little things that are a dead giveaway that they're vampires. So the Nosferatu are the information brokers and spies of the world of darkness, and as Tyler has indicated, often have to keep to the shadows. So Enzo, welcome. Logan, you're up next on my little wheel of people here. Introduce yourself. Tell us about your character, please.
Alrighty, so I am Logan. I'm going to be playing Sergeant Anthony Jackson. He is an ex-soldier and a clan gangrel member. His sort of thing falls pretty much in line with what you would expect. He didn't grow up the best. A little rough and tumble around the edges. Figured one of the best things to iron him out would be a little bit of strict discipline, as it were, and went off into the military. Ended up retiring, not being forced out. He picked and chose his own time to get out. And at the time of his embrace, his mortal life, he would have been pushing around like 50 or so. So he's starting to hit the age where he's a little too old for some of this shit, but and a little gruff in that aspect. But I haven't really ironed out the details of like what his embrace was or like how that sort of thing went down.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for him.
Awesome.
Just a real rough and tumble kind of person. You need someone's eyes to roll back after getting punched in the nose, and he's definitely going to be the guy to go for it.
Amazing. I think Ryan and Laura, unless you have very specific embrace stories prepped, I'm more than happy for us to leave that up in the air. It makes a lot of narrative sense. So if you're like, I was thinking maybe this, but I'm not married to it. You just broke up with that idea. I'm so sorry. But if you have something cool, please do float it, and we'll see if we can make it work. But if you don't, muy bueno. Cool.
Okay.
Laura, who are you and who are you playing?
My name is Eleanor Bigby, and Eleanor, in her mortal life, had like trained to be a concert pianist, but it's very competitive and she couldn't really make a living off of it. So she became a thief, because if anyone's lived in Toronto or a city with like, a lot of very tall condo buildings, people often don't lock their balconies. And so she took advantage of that. And that was kind of her thing. But she also, she has synesthesia. And so that was one of the things that she loved about like playing piano, because she would play and she would see these magnificent, beautiful colors and shapes. And after she was embraced, that beauty remained, but now basically all of the other sound in the world started making this just like horrible colors and like shapes that you can't even wrap your mind around. So she can get like kind of overwhelmed. She's a Malkavian. So that's kind of her. Yeah. So that's kind of how she suffers through that. It's like kind of deranged her. It's kind of some of the beauty, or what was once a wholly beautiful experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right on.
Very cool.
And she looks like Elizabeth Debicki.
Who is that?
She was like the woman in Tenet, the tall
or the
blonde
love
one,
interest
or
in
the night manager.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two things I haven't seen, but I will look up later.
IMDb her.
Tom,
man.
stereotypical wayfish, thin but tall, blonde British actress with short hair.
Sold.
Except she's got brown hair and gray eyes.
Depending on the role, Laura. Depending on the role.
My character does. Eleanor
Describing her
Bigby
character,
does.
yeah.
Eleanor Bigby does.
Yeah. Love it. I did forget to ask both Tyler and Logan. I'll come back to you in a second about this, but if you could consider who you would cast from Hollywood, TV, movie, doesn't need to be.
Are you familiar with the film character Nosferatu?
All right, that's a serious wrap on Court of the Boy King. Thank you for joining us, everybody. That's the best joke we're going to get. So thank you and good night.
He all leaned into, like, have you thought about it?
So give that a think for a second. I'm going to go to Ryan, and then I'll swing back around for you guys. Ryan, who are you, and who are you playing?
Cool. So I'm Ryan, and my character's name is Gaston Marché. He is a Tremere. Basically, the concept of the character is kind of the early 20s genius archetype. He started out kind of studying, kind of became an expert in storytelling, screenwriting, mythology, all that kind of stuff. And during the course of his academic career, became kind of more and more drawn to the occult, recurring stories around the world, that kind of thing. And accidentally, over the course of his studies, kind of discovered blood magic by accident, like through the back door of studying a totally different discipline would normally be studied. So all I was thinking for my embrace was basically he found blood magic and they were like, this guy's useful because he's coming from a different angle, and was embraced instead of being executed. But currently he's wealthy. He has a herd of like 30 TAs and kind of adjunct professors that are all basically bloodbound to him. So he feeds from them and they help him with his research, but they're very much like tools where he's like, go do this thing. He's rich due to a combination of like cryptocurrency and stocks, not because he's terribly good at finance. He's decent, but he can just send like 6 of his herd to just watch the market all day and shit like that. So, fancy condo. In terms of celebrities, imagine a young Andy Daly, but dressed like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. So just like young tech Andy Daly is my guy. So kind of nerdy, but like weirdly driven. And he's originally from Montreal, so he has a French-Canadian accent. He also has a ghoul, eventually. I don't know when this will happen, but it was worth noting. Where he basically he found somebody on campus who was like an illegal MMA fighter and then just fed them blood to make them stronger. And he uses them to like run errands and watch over him while he's sleeping. So not a full like criminal bodyguard type, but just like the guy he would send to go pick up a delivery in a shady neighborhood because he's not going to fucking do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad we can finally fully flex a French-Canadian accent, given that everyone is speaking in French in Blood and Syrup, so they just sound like whatever they would sound like. Très bien. All right. Tyler and Logan, who'd your Hollywood casting be?
You got one in mind, Logan?
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. Take Sam Elliott's face and put it on Tom Hardy's body. That's it.
Nice.
like Sam Elliott now and Tom Hardy now, where it's just like weathered and old, and then just like beautiful man.
The embrace
like
changed in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd be fine with that too if it's just like Sam Elliott photoshopped his body.
Yeah,
Sam Elliott
like
on Bane. Just right in there.
Yeah, pretty wild though. Just like his
Bane's right, put him right on there. And
he's got great skincare, but just from the neck down.
Yeah,
Neck
so
up, he's like, no, this face will see the weather.
That like hat that Sergeant Johnson wears in Halo, he always has that like kind of cap.
Oh yeah.
So
okay,
he's that slightly weathered looking body, really ragged face, but like stocky, kind of build.
Does that mean he's got the Sam Elliott kind of?
100%.
Right. Nice.
Oh, I can't
Subtle
wait
and
for you
everything.
to yell at Bradley Cooper Vampire about stealing your voice. All right, Tyler, who do you got?
I mean, what the heck?
I have a question for you, Tom. Talking about how we're like new and stuff like that. How far along in my transformation am I? Is this going to be an ongoing thing? Or have I basically reached my final form of grotesque?
That's a very good question. I'm going to say you're in your final form or like quite close to it.
Great.
Okay. Only because, as I understand it from the way the embrace is kind of described, like by the time you'd be up and conscious, your body would have undergone a base level transformation. There might be more to come. Like there are certain like major characters in the vampire. Actually, a couple that we've met in Blood and Syrup. Look it up, fans. But a couple of Nosferatu who are described as being in a constant state of like, I know there's one who's like, I think his limbs are constantly elongating slightly. So he's just becoming like more and more Slender Man all the time. There's another guy who's just constantly expanding. Like there are some weirdness.
Is that the spider dude?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, there are those sorts of folks around. I guess I could leave that to you, but I think.
So Tyler, which celebrity's wax statue is melting to make your character?
I think just in the spirit of his willingness to change the way he looks, I'll go with Colin Firth. Or am I thinking Colin Farrell? I can't remember.
Are you thinking
Irish or English?
Bullseye
Irish.
Or the King's Speech?
That's Colin Farrell, isn't it?
It is Farrell, yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew who you meant. I was like, oh yeah, Colin Farrell would be perfect for this. It was like, Firth, also good. Yeah, okay.
So, I would say take probably Colin Farrell's eyes, and I think that's just about all that remains of him. He has no nose, we'll say. His nose is gone. It's just 2 holes in the middle of his face. He has like a hair lip revealing like a number of fangs. It's not just 2 vampire fangs. It's just all of his teeth are pointy now. His skin is ghoulishly pale. He has no hair save for his thick eyebrows, thick black eyebrows, and his ears are elongated and pointy. So he looks a lot like Nosferatu.
Yeah, I figured when you made that joke that was like
I was like
10% joke, 90% where we're going.
Yeah,
I'm just picturing the one from What We Do in the Shadows from the movie.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. Like honestly, huge inspiration for the Soul series.
Averaging out Voldemort and Dobby, just right in the middle.
That's what I was thinking.
Pretty much.
Like when he was explaining that, I was like,
Nice.
wait, if you just take Dobby and then put one hair, take off his nose and mix the 2 together, boom, there it is.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Just toss him a sock and he pulls an Elder wand out. He's like, Dobby Mort is free! And you're like, ah, shit.
Damn it.
We
let it happen again.
My horoscope was right. Okay, amazing. So with all that in mind, that's amazing. Great characters. Good work, everyone. Let's move on to some sort of more details about the coterie itself. So this is, I'll give you the option here. You can either tell me, or if you want to keep it secret and just pop it out as like a cool thing that happens, you can do that, being aware that I will need to stop you and be like, okay, but what the fuck is that though? But what I'd like to know is each of you has picked 2 disciplines from your clan, which are essentially that's what I'm thinking of, right? Yeah. So basically 2 abilities that you have, 2 sort of special awesome things that you can do. Let me know one. Or if you think both are super relevant, let me know both. Let's hear both, but give me explain the one that you're like, this is the centerpiece, and then just mention the other one so we know it exists. The main reason I ask for this is part of character creation. I will say, dear listeners, that we did have everyone do the mechanical work before we came on air. What you didn't hear from our previous session 0 was the hour-long breaks we cut, where we passed the single book we had around and everyone was like, what the fuck is a skill? Done all that in advance. But to me, the more important things are kind of like, what is your character able to do, and what are they best in the world at, so that I can kind of plan scenarios based around that. But also as a storyteller, it's important for me to have a vague sense of what your cool powers are, so I can make sure you encounter them. The classic Dungeons and Dragons example being, if my only cool thing is that I can turn undead, if we never fight undead, I shouldn't have played this character and I hate myself. So totally random example, definitely didn't happen in a long campaign I played. So yeah, let me know kind of what your character's big thing is. Ryan, let's start with you, please.
Cool. So the 2 abilities he's got, he's a Tremere, so he knows some blood sorcery, which is fun. He also has the power of Auspex, so he can spot magic. Basically, Tom, to give you the ultra quick rundown of these, because it is a weird discipline that has a lot more going on than other ones. In blood sorcery, what he can do is he can turn his blood into a corrosive thing that can destroy any not living matter over time if he spills enough blood on it and has enough time, not including the undead, just not living things. He can extinguish the life from blood inside another kindred within line of sight to drive them towards frenzy. And he can turn his own blood into poison, which is either one mouthful or melee weapon coating worth of that, which is all kind of fun. He can sense the unseen. This is one that you would need to know as well as me for Auspex, which is whenever something supernatural is hiding in plain sight, you make a hidden wisdom plus Auspex roll on my behalf against a difficulty you choose, which will let me know if I see it or not.
Okay, what's your Auspex?
Yeah, my Auspex is 1 and my wisdom is 3. So it means there's 4 dice in the pool for that.
Okay, and by wisdom you mean
wits. Sorry, I just wrote it wrong. There's my will to
That's your will.
next turn, Tom.
Look, I'm not calling it out because I need to feel good about myself, but roll a will save you, son of a bitch.
Yeah, but no, wit plus Auspex, so it's a 4-die pool. I can do it actively. If there's an enemy doing this, Tom, it's a blind roll versus their relevant pool, whatever it is. Like if it's somebody hiding, it's mainly designed so either I can actively look or I'm just capable of spotting like wards or other hidden kind of supernatural things.
Yeah, I dig that. I'll think about how to play that. I might just ask you to do it, but we'll see.
Yeah. There'll also be times where I can search and it ends up being the same die pool, but I can do it. And the other things that can be done eventually, so I can craft a bloodstone if I take enough time overnight. So Tom will probably just be like, you did it, because otherwise it's weird for me to make us do weird math every time we do a session. But I can make a tracking stone if I use blood and some silver and stuff. So we can drop it in a pocket. And for a week, I always know where it is in a direction from me and how far away it is, but that's all. And eventually I want to learn wards, which are fun, where you can like put blood symbols on things. If people touch them, they get hurt from different supernatural creatures and shit. But he doesn't know any of those. That's something he'll be kind of questing, I think, to find.
Cool. Also, thank you for reminding me on this, Ryan. Don't be afraid to kind of, there was a reason I put the big spoiler tag up earlier. Don't be afraid of spoiling potential like game things. As players, it behooves us to be aware of what everyone can do. As characters, we're going to have a time jump. So there will be a moment where we get to see all of your characters meet each other and work together for the first time and have these fun discoveries. But the bulk of the game, you will be aware of each other's capabilities. Just because this game is always better when it's a little bit like the early X-Men comics, where it'd be like Storm being like, Cyclops, I'll create a tornado, and then if you optic blast into it, we'll create an optic blast tornado, and then Colossus can step through it and save the. And you're like, okay, great, I know who everyone is and what their powers do. We're going to jump ahead to that point, but so please do feel free to be open about this. It'll also, I think, help us figure out where all the characters are in relation to each other, because even though in the intro bit you won't know each other, when we do that jump, you will have had some time to get to know each other. So we're going to figure out some of those relationships now that will carry over into the show.
Cool. Yeah, and I will say, I know we're not going to probably play with a lot of experience, but Tremors don't know a ton of spells when they start, so I'll probably just be like hunting for spells as the game goes on. Give me what you please or don't what you please. I'm just acknowledging that I will just be knowledge focused.
Experience, please.
Well, I think it's just I'm going to be reading a lot of fucking books and shit, and I'm not going to like be like, I learned it, fuck you. I think it'll just be like, let me know if shit happens.
We'll see 20 episodes from now where we get with that. If I haven't given you anything, it might just be that. And that's fair. It's like when I forget that magic items exist in Dungeons and Dragons for like 3 seasons. I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't know. It's a hat of infinite hair. Here you go. Goodbye. Cool. All right. Love that.
That hat's going to make a lot of sick kids really happy.
Yay. Oh, we did a good thing tonight. Laura, what do you got for me?
So I've got Auspex. I have heightened senses, which I think goes fairly well with the synesthesia, because I can kind of like basically kind of up my senses when I choose to. And I imagine that would kind of play out like basically I would be able to kind of like, I'm detecting like shapes and shit. I'm sensing like very subtle things that are coming through. I also have, I'm excited about this one, Obfuscate, which is like Ghost in the Machine. So I'm like functionally invisible if I want to be. Of course, I can like make a sound and like people will hear me, right? Stuff like that. But I pretty much like video surveillance, like photographs of me. It's very hard to actually detect that it's me. And so it lets me be sneaky. So yeah, if someone's like seeing like a video, like a recording or a photo later, the image will be like slightly blurred and shit.
Yeah.
So people could like know it's like maybe a vampire is there if they're savvy, but they'd have to make like a check.
And if they're not, it's just like the Ring videos where the face has been smudged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Dope.
Yeah. Basically.
Awesome. Love that. Logan, what do you got for me, bud?
Alrighty, so my two are Protean and Fortitude. Fortitude, tougher. Ryan knows a lot about this one. Takes a little bit more to bring me down. Protean, I figured this made a lot more sense with the kind of like vibe that I wanted to go with him in regards to like he's old and worn down, but the fight in him isn't. Like he's been trained so much to be a fighter and a warrior his whole life that like it's like Apollo Creed in Rocky. He's like, man, I don't want to change. I like who I am. There's that part of him in there that just didn't want to change. So I have the ability to see in like pitch darkness, which can also be used to scare the shit out of mortal people too, because my eyes go big and red. I can get wicked cool fangs or claws and tear people up. And my last one is my favorite party trick. I can turn into an animal. So whatever kind of animal that we need at the moment, I can turn into one.
Nice.
Okay.
As long as it's around my general height and body mass, I can. Assume
okay. So just the harmless kinds of animals like
yeah.
bears
So I was thinking huge. Yeah, I was thinking like he might be an anorexic bear, but he's a bear.
Yeah. Just like to imagine they're like, quick, we need a rat to sneak in, and unfortunately all of Enzo's are tied up. Go, and you're just like, oh, and you're just like a massive rat, just like trying to bang.
The rats of unusual size.
Yeah.
Just
That's right.
Yeah.
One of the things
to the
that
left,
it said
and just a panther is trying to climb into the building.
Yeah, one of the things it says is like you usually pick a creature that you turn into mostly. That's like your sort of like comfort ship. So I was thinking that his is probably going to be around like a war dog, so like a German Shepherd probably.
Okay,
so he'll be, and it explains that whatever creature you pick, aside from the fact that you're like the pinnacle of what that animal is, you don't exert any other like differences between normal animals and your form. So it would take somebody to suss you out before there's like, oh, there's a wolf among the sheep. Who would have known? Like that sort of thing. But you can turn into other ones as long as they match your size. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. I like the idea that you have a comfort one. Similarly, we were joking earlier about accents, but literally it's just like, here's the comfortable thing I can slip into without really any effort.
Yeah, like I need to run German Shepherd. Here we go.
Yeah. Cool. I love that. Awesome. All right. And Tyler.
My two disciplines are optic blast and tornadoes.
Okay,
so
great.
I can create optic blast tornadoes with those.
Fantastic.
Animalism and obfuscate. A little bit of a deeper dive into animalism than obfuscate. I just have Cloak of Shadows, which is basically if I remain still, I can't really be seen. As long as my body is partially covered and I remain perfectly still, people can't see me. I can still be picked up by cameras and things like that and sensors, but the naked eye can no longer perceive me. But for animalism, I've got a couple of skills here. Bond Famulus, which basically allows me to become blood bonded with an animal. That's where Sergio comes in. Since it's a starting skill, I don't have to go through the process of blood bonding with him. He's just already my little rat buddy. I can issue commands to this animal and things like that. It's not two-way communication or anything like that, though. But that's where number 2, Feral Whispers comes in, where now there is two-way communication between me and other animals. You talk about Nosferatu being information brokers. I think this might be the way Enzo gets his information, is just what's going on, what's the news, my little rat friends and bats and all these other kind of sewer-dwelling creatures. And then the last one I have is Animal Succulence, which is basically I gain bonuses to feeding off of animals. And my predator type is Farmer. So that kind of really gives me a jump start in terms of that. It basically like satiates more hunger than it typically would.
Awesome. Well, that's a great segue because I was about to ask about what your predator types are. So we've got Farmer, Logan. So you give the
Yep.
classic
I'm also
thumb
a farmer. Yep.
Okay, great. So both of you then feed off animals per
Let's go.
Great. Love it. And you can still, if I'm correct, you can still feed off of humans. You just prefer to feed off animals.
It looks like, for me at least, I took a vegan flaw.
Gotcha.
So I've got like some willpower stuff to do if I'm feeding off of a human.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Tyler and I have to make will checks to see if we can force ourselves to eat people.
Okay, awesome. Very cool. Okay, neat. Laura, what predator type are you?
Sandman. So
That makes a lot of sense.
being a thief, it would be like it became very easy to turn, just traditional robbery into like, and using my obfuscate discipline too, to just like sneak in and feed on folks while they're sleeping.
Take their necklace, take their neck.
I really
just
like
exactly.
that. Grab the jewels and then little nibble and then
Oh, thank God. I thought I heard
while you're
snacking nom nom noms, but nothing in the fridge has been touched. Oh, why did my neck hurt so much? Great. And Ryan.
Gaston is an Osiris, so he is the like charming, knowledgeable type with a herd. So he feeds off of his TAs, and he calls them VAs himself. They're his vampire assistants, but they're technically TAs and adjunct professors. He's basically he's drawn a number of people in with his studies into the occult and other things, and then has blood bound them to basically be like a secure herd that he can kind of use as walking blood bags and occasional research tools. But that's kind of his focus, because all of he's got a ton of like academics, investigation, occult knowledge, all that kind of thing, with a lot of focuses on textual analysis, the supernatural, kind of storytelling, and databases. Like he's a brainiac, so a lot of it was getting people caught up in the cult of his kind of intelligence and studies and getting people interested in that.
Cool. All right, so we're almost done. Thank you for bearing with me on session 0. Now to get to some of the fun stuff. Let's talk about convictions and touchstones. So part of the goal with the setup of a vampire game is we need to understand what these characters believe in and what their convictions are, what they hold to. Because as their humanity begins to slip away, it's these sorts of things that will really kind of help the players determine what their character does, and or will help me figure out how best to kind of torment and punish characters who act against these convictions. So using the farmers as an example, if the conviction is like, I'll never harm a human, choosing in, a dire situation to feed off of a human rather than, this is literally just from Interview with the Vampire, but like, oh no, I'm out of rats. I guess I'm going to eat this person. Would play huge havoc on their psyches, because that's a conviction they hold to, even though they're becoming monsters. So we'll figure those out, and then we'll deal with touchstones, which are my favorite part of starting out sessions. So you can select between 1 and 3 convictions. Have each of you looked at convictions and picked them? All right, cool.
I have not.
No worries, man. So
Tyler will go last.
Yeah, so Tyler, I'm going to list off what they are. So you can have a little think about them. And
the ones in the book are actually, they say they're just examples. So like I came up with some original ones.
Yeah. So for instance, in Blood and Syrup, Ryan's major one is that he won't let, as Ridley Beef, the mobster with a heart of mob, that he won't hurt anyone who isn't in the game. So if he's determined that you are in some way you're in the game, you've entered the criminal world in some way, shape, or form, fucking open season, man. You are fair game. But that's a conviction he hangs on to in that world as everything goes to shit. So here's a fast list for you, bud. And you can find this on page 172 of our rule books here.
Yep, I'm there. Yep.
Okay, dope. Well, if you're there, then basically I'll just list off a couple just for the listeners. But it's things like rob from the rich, give to the poor, thou shalt not torture, obey authority, love thy neighbor as thyself, protect the innocent from harm, courage is the highest value, that sort of thing. So just, again, tenets that your character has that will make life difficult for them in their unlife. To give you the most time, Ryan, let's start with you. What are your convictions?
Nice. So I've got 3. They're all ones I made up, but the first one I just called chafes at the bit, which is like he cannot stand being controlled and has to show resistance in like some, even if it's a spiteful kind of way. The second one is that he always keeps his public oaths. Like if he makes a promise publicly, he won't breach that promise. he can be very crafty in the wording, kind of the old like Fey kind of like, here is the oath I promised, but he cannot break it if he does it publicly. And the last one is just like risk is reward, which is as long as the gain is commensurate to the risk, he'll dive in.
Cool. Those are very fun.
So suicide mission, but you become a god if you could pull it off. He'll just say yes. He won't even question the terms.
Right.
It's like, yes, want. Great.
Yeah. If someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. Laura, what do you got?
So I've got two. One of them is, and I just took these from the book.
Sure. Yeah, no worries.
So the guilty must be punished. And I'm of the opinion that everyone is guilty of something. So, and it's honestly, it's from my time basically like spying on people, and I see how people live, and everyone's a piece of shit. And then also my other one is stand up for the disenfranchised, because I had every advantage in life and still like I had like connections and everything, you know, I believe like I should have been successful and I still wasn't. So I have a soft spot for people who are kind of down on their luck and hard done by. So I will stand up for those people.
Cool. Love that. I think those two go well together. Great. Logan, what have you got?
Alrighty. So we got our first one up, and this is like out of the three, this one's probably like first in priority that he keeps, and his courage is the highest virtue. For him being a soldier and being in there meant that he was defending people back home. He believes that is like the penultimate point for what he himself should strive to be. The second one is one that I made up, and it's war never changes. He believes that fighters will always fight no matter what, that people really can't change who they are inside, which I think plays really well with like his internal dilemma of like, he's trying to fight his own virtue, but he knows deep down that given the opportunity, he can't fight it.
Right.
And then the last one is always keep your sworn word. So if he says, I will help you on this day at this time, he will be there at that day at that time.
That's awesome. Love that.
Which I think with this whole like court thing and the king like losing his mind kind of, it'll be a promise you'll help me do this. And he's like, I mean, I guess I have to, but like when it comes down to it,
must I?
Yeah, like, do I? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
So I think that'll be really cool.
Awesome. And Tyler, did you manage to grab a couple there?
I took one out of the book, Love Thy Neighbor as Thyself. In the way that I've thought about playing Enzo is he's going to be a friendly kind of guy, despite his appearance and the company he keeps. And I'm just kind of fooling around with the second one, which is basically the gist of it is like nothing is above or beyond some level of incremental improvement. I think that taps into his tinkering and stuff like that. Like there's no craft that has reached absolute perfection. And I think that is a lot of what drives him to tinker and craft and construct, and invent and reinvent.
I love that. So like a could be better kind of situation. Like
basically,
it's really good, but
I would say maybe just like perfection is a lie or something.
Yeah, right. Great. Love that. Perfection is a lie. It's real good. I smell a t-shirt.
A grim t-shirt.
Yeah, I smell a t-shirt. The only ones with NSFW tags on Redbubble for us right now are like Iris poems that are just rife with profanity.
That and Hello Goblin.
That's right.
Oh yes, hello.
He's melted.
Melt. Oh yeah, Decapitated Marker knocked it out of the ballpark with that one. It's so fucking good. Great. Okay, cool. So that's all great. We're almost there. We just got to deal with a couple more things. Let's deal with the coterie briefly before we deal with touchstones, because touchstones may, as they did in our other show, impact the some of the coterie stuff. So I just want to throw that out there so you can have this in your thinking. Your coterie will be what's known as a marshal, which is essentially you are assigned to the prince. You are in service of the prince. You are It lists you kind of as like bodyguards. That's not entirely correct, but it's in the right ballpark. So essentially, your coterie type is you are indentured to a prince. So this is the type of coterie you are. What that means is there are a number of fun, weird coterie things that we're joking about off air a little bit with fun names. Here's the thing. We will likely never use these terms again. So I'm going to use them once now, and then we'll never use them again. Cool? Cool. So first of all, your chasse. This refers to the physical space that you guys have in the city. For you, you get 2 dots in that, which gives you 2 to 4 city blocks, 1 park, and 1 small site. So that site can be a tourist attraction, it can be a historical landmark, but just something of interest that elevates your 2 to 4 block radius above any old city block. Next up, we've got your Portillion. This is how secure you are in that space, how secure it is against other vampires, all that sort of stuff. You only have 2 points in this. So you're not fully exposed, but by the same token, you're not fully protected either. We'll explain more about this kind of once we're up and running. But although you're assigned to the prince doesn't give a tremendous amount of shits about your safety. You're there to help him. He doesn't really care what you do when you're not there, nor will he be particularly sticking his neck out for you there. In terms of
the
status,
Boy King is a little precocious?
a little bit.
Is that what's happening?
Literally could not have guessed.
The
Yeah, I
Boy
know.
King?
Can you imagine if he just turns and says like, listen, I've been reading a lot of treaties and I want to make sure it's fair for everyone. It's like a 2-episode show. And we're like,
Yeah,
okay.
it's the boy King Arthur. He's like,
Yeah.
we will have a round table and all be equals.
Like, I guess we work for you. This is fine, actually. Great. All right, so we got that. In terms of, I fucking flipped away from these pages and I will literally never find them again. In terms of status, you all will be known somewhat. You're not, super famous or anything, but as you will determine from the opening session, there's a very good reason why you're known. But other vampires in town will be aware of you and of your position. You're not like secret assassins necessarily. Now, that isn't to say that all Vampire Society knows you by sight. They might know of you as a concept, but it doesn't mean that if you walk in, everyone's like, oh, John Wick. Just so that, not yet, but one day. So it's not like, you can't go places and do things and lie about who you are. But at the same time, if you do need to flex a little bit, you might be able to do that. So those are the main pieces of the coterie that I want to hit. The rest I kind of don't need for our purposes. So just be aware of that.
What is our generation, Tom?
Yeah, so I was going to get to that a little bit later on.
Okay, do what you're doing.
No, it's fine. We can do it now. I'm going to say that you are 12th generation, which makes you one rung above being a thin blood. So with a thin blood, you're still relatively able to go about your human stuff a little bit easier. But you're still childer, which are people who've been embraced within the last 15 years. It means you have a blood potency of 1.
And that makes our Bane severity 1 equal to blood potency?
Yes, that's correct. So just enough that things get a little bit bad for you. You can still heal at a pretty remarkable rate at this point. It doesn't take much rousing the blood to kind of look human enough to get the blush of life and go out and about. I would argue in like 90% of vampire mythologies, you're what we would think of as a vampire. So like having just watched Interview in prep for this, you're like on the cleaner end of that. You don't even necessarily have the purple veins and like pointy fingernails and weird eyes. Like you're not there yet. You're on your way, but you're not quite there. You're not quite like David Boreanaz Angel, where he just looks like a dude. But you're also not quite like I'm clearly of the vampire. This is
I'm a little bit further along than the rest of you.
I'm just gonna say like Tyler is accepted from all of this. This is just for the rest of you. As much as it really fucking bums me out to say this, the clearest example I can think of actually is the Twilight vampires, who, despite the sparkliness, are all just like a little off. Like whenever the camera cuts to them, it's like, oh, that guy's a fucking vampire.
Yeah, it seems normal to everybody in the movie, but to the audience, you're like, vampire, normal person, vampire.
Yeah.
That's definitely a vampire.
Yeah. How much project is in your hair? Can it move in the wind? No, you're a vampire. How badly do you attempt to play baseball?
Arm.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Less pitching arm for her, more pitching leg, apparently. That sequence, man. Fuck. Someone just reposted it without color correction, and it is, they play vampire baseball, Laura.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in a thunderstorm, because it's the only way that people won't hear them like hitting the baseballs as hard as they can with their vampire powers. And they all do it in the most ridiculous way a human could possibly try and play baseball. And then they get the bad guys show up, and someone just reposted it without the blue filter on. And it's just a bunch of people be like, because it just there's no drama to it without like the fucking like David Fincher blue lens. Anyway, neither here nor there. So yes, all of you are slightly, it means you've been embraced by someone of a slightly older generation. One of the big fears in kindred society is the thinning of the blood. It's meant to signal Genna, the apocalypse war that will end the world. That war is kind of underway right now, and it's a lot less apocalyptic than people thought, but that's also where most of the elder vampires are right now, which we'll certainly touch on in our show, and we've definitely touched on in Blood and Syrup as well. Logan.
So you said that like we're cutting on the cusp, and I get that. Does our humanity play in how we look? Because I don't know about Tyler, but I know for myself, I'm pretty up there in terms of like how human I am. Does that affect like how human I look?
Yeah, it absolutely does. The blood potency piece is basically like, so your humanity will determine how human you look, just kind of, you're walking around human, if you will. But the blood potency in the generation relates more specifically to if you need to make yourself seem real human for something, if you need to eat food, if you need to like have someone take your pulse. An example that we don't really use because we only do fade to black scenes, but like if you wanted to have sex with someone as a vampire, you'd have to rouse the blood because there just isn't any blood in your system that isn't like the hunger blood. So you can look human, but the piece that's off is just like without blood. It's like, yeah, you look fine. There's just something about you that's a little ethereal. I mean, honestly, I would say like this is just like in like day-to-day life. It's like the Lee Pace effect. Or like the Kate Winslet, or not Kate Winslet, Kate Blanchett effect, where you're like, I feel like maybe you're an alien, but like,
okay.
I think like you're doing a great job faking it. What are you? Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton's perhaps the best example. Every time they cast her as a vampire, I'm like, yeah,
she's just herself.
Method.
My mind immediately went to Ridley's description of it. Sometimes you got to rouse the blood to rouse the blood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Exactly right. Just throw some Cockney on that, and you're all set. So, having sorted out our blood potency and the rough ideas around that, again, we won't likely use that very often. It's just something to be aware of. There's one other thing I wanted to give you from blood potency, which is. Say flipping dramatically. Oh, hey, there's that page I wanted earlier. Flipping dramatically. You can put a bookmark in and it's not helping. That's not really the book's fault, but I'm going to blame it anyway. Cool. So the only other thing you need to know about your blood potency 1 is you can roll 2 dice and pick the highest when rolling a rouse check for a level 1 discipline power. So because you're still relatively humanish, it is less hard for you to rouse the blood.
Say that again, Tom?
So you can basically roll with advantage to rouse the blood for your level 1 disciplines. So your powers that you would use, it doesn't cost you as much to summon them because you're still kind of humanish.
Go arouse the blood to rouse
the blood. Cool. So the final piece that we need to sort out, my friends, before we dive into our world of darkness is our touchstones. I will also put this together in a sexy relationship map later. It's a key part of Vampire the Masquerade that we no longer use because we're no longer in the same room. But
also, realistically, we've learned to keep our touchstones vague because half the time we don't meet them if they're too specific.
This is true. So touchstones are an important part of the vampire creation process because these are basically the people you still care about in sort of movie or TV terms. Like, honestly, the easiest example for this is Breaking Bad, where it's like Walter White decides he's going to become a meth dealer, but he still has a family. So this is the people that are not vampires that you know that you still care about, that will be around and possibly a threat to you, or just acquaintances or just connections you have. It could be something as simple as I used to go to the same coffee shop every day, and there's a barista there who knows my order, and that's the extent of the interaction, but it's something that makes me feel human. Yeah, you can set your humanity to 7, just in general, unless you have other things you've done. And let's talk about your touchstones. So you need to have an equal number of touchstones to your convictions, and they should be connected to your convictions. So they should be things that remind you of those tenets that you believe in. If your conviction, for instance, was don't hurt animals, you would have that like the cutest fucking like Puss in Boots from Shrek or that cute lamb from The Simpsons level animal that's just stupid adorable all the time to remind you not to be a dick to animals, because you might be a dick to that cool adorable little lamb. Let's go around and talk about who those touchstones might be and who they are to you. Ryan, let's start with you, please.
Cool. Tom, I'm going to keep them real vague so that you can figure out how you want to combine them as they are. So his first one, which is his like chafing at the bit, like resisting being controlled, probably someone who's like a philosophical thinker. So it could be like a philosophy prof at U of T. It could be a priest that he had a conversation with and finds like challenging in that intellectual idea. Like somebody he can kind of bat big ideas around. They don't have to agree with him, but somebody who would like challenge his way of thinking in a way he would kind of respect or find fascinating. In terms of always keeping his public oaths, his lawyer. I bet he has like a really like a lawyer who's on retainer who does his like his finances and other things, but probably does a lot of pro bono time. And there's a certain amount of like upstanding citizenry in business he respects. Also because the lawyer's probably a little bit scummy in private, but very good in public, and he likes that about them. And then the conviction for the risk is reward. If the gain is commensurate to the risk he's in, I'm going to say he has like an alcoholic father that he doesn't interact with a ton. And his dad is the reason that he goes out and takes those risks to try to gain more, because his dad just constantly didn't take big risks and kind of faded away. So he's not thrilled about that touchstone, but he is haunted by and drawn to it in that same way. Yeah. Maybe the dad's a con man. I don't know. Just something along those lines of just like bad dad.
Bad dad. Great. Love those. Laura, what have you got?
I think, I mean, for the guilty must be punished, I think there has to be like someone who got away with something in my life, like whether it was like family or a friend, or it was someone who was close to me, and I probably feel betrayed by that, that they did something awful. I don't know who it is.
No, that's great. I can work with that.
And then for stand up for the disenfranchised. Now, I do have an underwhelming retainer. Could that be the same person, or should it be someone different?
I believe it can be the same person. Tell me what an underwhelming retainer is.
So it's basically someone who's like, is kind of like a fan of yours, who basically like follows you around, but isn't very helpful.
I will make your boots go faster. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, the least useful version of what I have. I have the 3-dot version, which is like a gifted mortal I've turned into a ghoul to run deliveries, and the useless version is like you got a kid who follows you around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my underwhelming retainer. What I wanted, what I thought I would have would be like, I probably like inherited like a really shitty house from my parents who are dead, and I'm like using it as like rental income, and just like, but it's like I'm not getting much income because I'm like just letting people who are like, you know, can't really afford apartments in Toronto live there. So there's this like 17-year-old kid who's like basically living in the house who's like
Sure.
finds me super cool. And I think they know I'm a vampire. I think it's like a girl, she probably watched Interview with the Vampire a few too many times as a kid and just like really thinks that maybe I'll be like the Brad Pitt to her Kirsten Dunst or something.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome. I love that. Logan, what have you got?
Alrighty, so I was thinking for courage, considering that how I sort of planned their backstory is that his wife had passed on, but his son stepped up to like be the other person in the house and like really hold up his end. So I was going to think courage being the highest virtue is going to be his son, in the manner that like his son stepped up and did things that shouldn't be expected of a kid, but he did them, and he never backed down from any of the challenges that were presented by life. He just kind of kept going with them and was like, "No, I got you. I'm there with you, Dad. Like we can make this together, you and I." So I think he really draws a lot of like his internal strength from that. War never changes. I'm gonna say it was his drill sergeant from boot camp. So if he's old, like he's got to be like dust at this point. But I think it really reinforces that like he never lost. Like that drill sergeant probably still wakes up at the same time every day, still gets out there and does the same thing. So I think it reflects like his like it never changes kind of thing. Like he will be that way until the day he dies, kind of almost obstinate in a way. And I think that really does reflect with him. And then always keep your sworn word. I think that's going to be his like local town, wherever he was before traversing up here. His local town priest. It was always you keep what if you're going to say you're going to do something, you know, like by God's law, keep that in mind and always make sure you do that because you're always being watched. Like I think he really bought into that. And he's like, no, father so and so or sister so and so really does like help a lot in that area.
Okay, so cool. And Tyler.
I think for the perfection is a lie, always striving to improve. I think that's probably someone in the family business who likely mentored Enzo in watchmaking and things like that, or someone who taught him how to craft and create other things. So since it was a family business, either I think like his father or like an older sibling or his mother, or maybe someone who was hired on as help when he was a boy, who kind of like mentored him and helped him out in that way.
Okay.
And really kind of taught him that perspective of like, does this look perfect? Because it's not. We can fix this. We can make this better. Blah blah blah. Like there's always something to improve. And then love thy neighbor as thyself. I think that is probably relating to anyone else who would take shelter in the sewers or people that work underground on like subway lines or in the sewers and things like that. So city workers, like the homeless, runaways, kids just like playing near like the big like open storm drains, like near rivers and stuff like that. I think as a touchstone, one of those people is someone that Enzo likely looks after and protects from afar and from the shadows. I don't think they know that Enzo exists. But anytime they are either working or taking shelter or even playing near the sewer, Enzo is watching over them. As long as they're playing at night, I guess.
I mean, you could move around in the day more in the sewer than you could. You'd just be tired. But
yeah, okay,
possible. Okay, cool. So that's all awesome. There is one other step to this that the book encourages that I think we're probably going to skip, but I'll float it to you as an option. And if you guys want to engage in it, we can. Otherwise, we can see how it goes. In theory, part of our decision about the Coterie is to come up with one thing we like and one thing we dislike, or might be in conflict with for each member of the team. We did this at the beginning of Blood and Syrup, and it was somewhat useful, but it was also a little bit difficult because we didn't actually know any of the characters yet. And it was also very difficult to just out of the gate be like, I don't like Ryan because this. Given the nature of the way we tend to run our shows here, those types of relationships tend to come out pretty organically, I think. So I think instead we'll just keep an eye out for that. We might touch base after the first arc to be like, okay, so what have we learned about how these characters get along? But we also might not need to. Again, I think just as players, something to keep in mind as your kindred meets their fellow coterie is thinking about what your character values. What are the sorts of things that they would admire about other people? What would be the concerns? Logan, you set up a lot of really great kind of squad mentality pieces and leadership pieces. So that's going to change how he thinks about, I'd imagine how Anthony thinks about the other people in the coterie in a way that, say, Eleanor might not, given that she's a thief.
Oh, yeah,
so
100%.
So just keep an eye out for those because those are really fast and easy ways to create a more meaningful character relationship between each other. And again, the session 0 piece of doing that and putting it on the map and stuff can be very helpful for that. I just find with our style, it comes out pretty quickly anyway. And I would hate for us to like artificially write that down and then start and go, it's like a sitcom where they pair up two characters and they're like, oh no, these actors have no chemistry. It should actually be this person. And they're like, I guess here's Rachel and Joey. And you're like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're sorry. We should have thought of this earlier. We'll save it by spinning him off into his own show that ran for 1 million seasons. Cool. So with that,
I was going to say, Tom, should we review any flaws that might affect the world that you would want to know about?
Yeah, if you got this is old Tommy has never built a vampire before, so tell old Tommy what he missed. Are there other things I should know?
Oh,
I think
I'll go for it.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I got some flaws that are probably worth you knowing. One, Gaston has a mythic flaw, which is if he sees spilled seeds, he has to count them. It's just a weird piece of vampire superstition that's stuck with him. He also has 2 world versions of a flaw. He has an enemy, which I listed as the department head of either mythology or classics at U of T, because I think he went there to teach and TA, and he ended up making all of his students do research assignments that would help his research, but did not actually help them in class. So he is no longer welcome at the University of Toronto. So he has kind of an enemy there that he's running his like VA group underneath. And he has an adversary, which is, I'm going to say, a Tremere rival of some kind. So they're established. They're not a childer, but they're not an elder. There's just another Tremere vampire around that has an issue with him. I figured I'd leave that open so we can figure out how it fits in the show. But that's what I have.
Num, 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 num.
Oh, I was going to say flawed parental relationships and just random rivalries. What am I giving Tom everything he wants in this show?
I mean, my birthday's not till October, but you're off the hook. Cool. Laura, what do you got?
So I have a prey exclusion. I won't eat children because I think that they are not yet fully guilty and they still have an innocence and can still be redeemed, maybe.
Also, you get less blood when they're that small.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that brings up a good question, because technically we're considered children too. Does that apply to like new vampires as well? Like you won't mess with like really new people? Or is that just like mortal children?
No, mortal
or is that
children.
case by case? Maybe there's someone who didn't want to be a vampire.
Do you know what? Yes. So
What
for
about man
humans, it's like children. I will not eat human children.
Right.
Vampires, in terms of messing with, it would be case by case.
Yeah, the assumption amongst kindred would be that you don't eat vampires unless someone tells you can. So that is an interesting thing, though, to keep in mind, which is like how far does that reach?
Yeah. What
Particularly
if a
when you
child
start
gets
to
turned
meet-
into a vampire? Can you eat that child?
Yeah, I wonder where we would encounter that in this court of the adult king. Sorry, I meant to mention. One of the
I
breaks
see, Logan.
I rebranded the show. It's now just the court of the adult king. It's just a guy.
It's weird that you had to make that specification now.
Yeah, you know,
It's him, the man king.
Hello,
And
I'm
then-
a king.
And then I thought, as a fun, like opposite to my underwhelming retainer, I would have the flaw version of retainer, which could be like stalkers. I mean, some people, I don't know why they would be stalking me. Maybe it's because I was
They're
so good
shitbags.
at piano and they were just like, fuck, I just heard her play. And I just like, I gotta.
Tom, you've now been assigned a stalker voice.
I've got to
just so you
kill
know.
her.
That's the
I
stalker
like
voice.
I like that you
Not necessarily
you've
kill.
imagined a world where
I
Daria
have to be in
is
the last
stalking
photograph
you.
she's ever taken.
My God.
This
gonna
lady
be
is
Daria.
not that impressive. I need to follow her. Just April Ludgate, just being like, "This sucks. I need to be here for it."
Yeah, you're the Andy to her April.
Yeah. Okay. That probably won't be who it is, but that's good to know. So,
Anyways,
yeah,
I can also
Stalker-
change it if
No,
that's,
no.
like,
Stalker's
ridiculous.
totally fine. No.
Okay, cool.
Stalker's great. We'll just.
But yeah, it's one of those things that like even if you deal with like a stalker, a new one will pop up. Like it's just a perennial flaw.
Don't worry, I will find a stalker for you.
Yay!
Doesn't eat children. Okay, great. And Logan, what do you have?
Okay, so from farmer, I have vegan, not eating people. Not if I can help it. But the next one is what I put all my flaw points into is dark secret. So whatever you want that to be, he's got something that he harbors away. I didn't bring this up before, but I do have some background points that might be like for you good to know. So I have contacts at level 3. So I have someone on like the up and up scale that can help me get something not so readily available. I have resources at 2 because I figured working as a lifetime soldier, you get a pretty decent retirement fund. So I figured he has a little bit of spare cash. And then I have fame at 2. I figured that the reason why he would eventually retire is because he did something that was like not overly heroic, but heroic enough to get noticed. And then he was like, okay, that's my cool thing for my career. Before I get any older, I'm calling it quits.
Okay, cool. I like that a lot.
However you want to go about that.
Yeah. I'll give that a think. But yes, that's great.
Oh yeah, and Tom, I'm rich, so I have a great condo, luxury items, and can supply high-end equipment for multiple people. It's almost like I wanted to be able to help the coterie.
Almost. And Tyler, what do you got, bud?
I have the feeding flaw of vegan as well. In addition to that, I have a base flaw in that my home is creepy. I'm also considered repulsive due to my physical appearance. And just to follow that up, I selected that I'm also just generally disliked.
It's because you're the nice vampire.
Love
Everyone's
thy
like,
neighbor.
No.
Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't help neighborino. Fuck off, Flanders.
I'm disliked within a specific social group.
Oh my God,
in general.
It's Mole Man Flanders. That's who you created.
Yeah.
Do you have you specified what group generally dislikes you?
I had an idea, but it relates to like your boy king scenario.
All right.
Do you want to just lay it out there and let you kind of rule on it?
Sure, unless you just want to bring it up on air. But yeah, you can. Probably better since I'll be doing all the NPCs.
Yeah, I think because of my
storyteller
crafting,
player characters.
I think because of my crafting experience and because of where I think this Boy King Gauntlet of Death takes place, I was recruited into the construction of some of this stuff. Like, I don't know kind of like what I was making as a whole. I was like assigned specific tasks. So I made some cages that could contain like large, like human-sized forms and stuff like that. And things like that. Or I helped calibrate pressure plates and stuff like that. And within that like group of workers, I was disliked by everyone.
So kindred construction, essentially.
Yeah, fuck. That's pretty good.
Kindred construction.
Hence why I find myself now in the death trap.
That
would be a good name for a company. Kindred Construction, but change the construction to a K.
Yeah.
Kindred Construction.
Or Kindred to a C and just really fuck
we
it up.
work all night.
Oh, the company that works all night for you.
Yeah.
Sir,
you
someone
could
drank someone on site again. It's a union problem. I can't help you.
It was the Bear Boys. They came and stole that cop off their lawns.
It's Kindred Construction's Christmas Crazy Carpet Ride. Like it's all K's the whole way down.
Krusty's Comedy Classic. Oh. Great. Okay, cool. Thanks, Tyler. That's super fun. Fuck, I got some stuff to think about now. That's great. Very fun.
I'm
Cool.
also fine with being disliked in any and all other
I
social
like that a
groups.
lot.
I'm happy with.
No. I like that. That's pretty funny for a lot of reasons.
He said, just give me the haters, all of them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that brings us to the end of episode 0. For those of you watching and listening, wait a minute, they didn't play a game. You're goddamn right, we didn't. This was all just about figuring out who we are. As I've mentioned previously, we're going to kind of start in the middle of a situation, and then eventually we'll have like a little bit of a time gap where all of these details we've been describing can kind of come to light and come into play. So it's not like a weird, like, we all just met. Okay, well, I'm rich. There'll be a bit of time where we can assume the characters have gotten to know each other a little bit, just because that's really generally how Vampire starts. And I've always liked that it's just kind of like, cool, you're in it, now we can just run, rather than like 6 episodes of you going, door to door being like, should we work together? Because I'm pretty sure if that had happened in Blood and Syrup, like Everett and Ridley would have shot each other and Iris just never would have left the house. Which, also compelling, but in a completely different way. So, cool. Thank you all for joining us at the very start of Court of the Boy King. I'm really excited to let these characters loose on the world. It is a strange one that they're stepping into. And you may have heard some talk of gauntlets and some talk of Boy Kings. I purposefully kept things vague for the players. They have a rough sense that something's up, but no real details. They will find that out, and so will you very shortly in episode 1, Diamonds in the Rough. So join us for that. Ooh. And until then, spooky.
Court of the Boy King is produced by the devilishly handsome Logan Peters in partnership with Dum Dums and Dice. If you want to produce your own show with us, you can do so at patreon.com/dumdumdice. This episode features Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter as Gaston, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter as Enzo, Laura Elizabeth at EL Hamstring on Twitter as Eleanor, and Logan Peters at Mr. Oogius Boogius on Twitter as Sergeant Jackson, as well as our storyteller Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was mixed and edited by Laura Hamstra, and our show logo was created by Del Borovic at Deltastic on Twitter. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and our Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. And most importantly, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. All hail the Boy King.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christian Menicola, Long Long, the Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, Charles Grams, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, One True Artistry, Orion Birchfield, Lord of Bradovic, Noel Lewis, Scott Garland, Anthony Griffin, Chet Awesome Laser, Jordan Neesmith, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Taryn Hefner, Cade Peters, Richard Cranium, Christian Mendez, Anna Zed, Eric Williams, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Great Dane, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.